Welcome back, RestoMods Nation. We are here at Barona Speedway. We got two Pontiac GTOs right here. This is Mike Montanari. You guys may have seen a feature video a long time ago we did on his car. Still got it, still an awesome car.
Thanks, Joe, appreciate that.
But as you guys can tell, there's a few subtle and obvious differences between a 69 GTO and a 68 GTO. So Mike, why don't you take us away and what are a few of the quick differences?
Yeah, good point. So for stock GTOs in 1968, they came out with the Endura bumper, right? Rubber painted, matched with the car. And the old advertisement was a guy with a sledgehammer. And he'd go, bong! And it's like, you gotta be kidding me right now. If you do that to any of these cars, people would kill you. Wow, that was a speed bike. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
Or whatever you call those things.
It's a rocket.
Anyway, the other key distinguishers are the corner lamps, the butterfly windows in the doors. 69 doesn't have them, and the rear bumper. Now, other things you might notice between these two cars are the headlights. Hideaway headlights on the 68, the 69 has standard. That's an option when you ordered the car. My dad bought this car brand new, and he didn't want the hideaway headlights. I can't change it because my dad's still alive. Oh man, that is
wicked.
That is sick. Wow. So what, now since I was on the show last, I had made a ton of changes. And by the way, I have a YouTube channel where I documented all of these changes. So if you guys are fans, want to do your own work, I show you just about everything on how to do it. Rebuilding the engine, et cetera, et cetera. So the big change that happened was I went from carburetor to fuel injection. So now I have a Phi-Tech unit on my car, and then recently upgraded to a port injection, which has just been super smooth. Runs like butter. Installed a TKX transmission. Man, those are loud. Did a full chassis brace.
Wow.
So chassis braces are supposed to be installed with the body off. Of course, my knucklehead decided to do it with the body on. So I can get you guys some B-roll of that, because good luck getting under the car. Gosh, a whole ton of other changes, but like dual disc clutch, man. I think, what else? What are you thinking?
I think the special thing about both of these cars is that they both still have their numbers matching engines that they came with. So this 68 has a numbers matching 400 cubic inch V8. Yours has
well, not the same four. Came with a 400, just like in 68, but it's now, man, crazy. It's now a 470. So those of you Pontiac fans, it's a Butler performance spec, roller cam, ported aluminum heads. I painted it Pontiac blue. I love the paint job, frankly. I added a serpentine belt because I wanted reliability.
Yeah.
Those of you guys that have had old cars, when you throw a belt, you might knock all your belts off and you don't even know it. I mean, it's just painful. I wanted some more reliability. The battery's in the trunk. The car's lowered 2.5 inches. Coilovers front and rear. All Global West, like QA1 fronts. Penske rears. Tremec TKX, I already said that.
Yeah,
It's a dream.
I think you mentioned, I think you mentioned the Willwoods, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, the Willwoods.
Good point.
Yeah.
I have 14-inch fronts, 13-inch rear. My wheels are almost the same as what you guys did.
Right, so they're the US Mags, Bandit wheels.
Correct.
But yours are different, rare.
Mine are a little more rare now because ever since US Mag was acquired by a bigger company, I think MHT or someone like that, mine are 3-piece. So I have 3-piece 19s in the front and 3-piece 20s in the rear. That gave me the flexibility to do custom offsets, because when I did my 14-inch brakes in the front, that changed the track width.
Okay.
Which was, I didn't know that at the time, but when I put the wheels on, I'm like, shit, they don't fit. What do I do?
Yeah, well, and tubbing is a big job that nobody really wants to do.
And I'm talking about the front.
Oh yeah.
The rears, and I'm gonna tub this car. So if you guys wanna watch me do it, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna go through it. That's next year's project, so plenty of time for you to subscribe. But yeah, it's because I'm crazy. But gosh, what else? Since last time, my tires are bigger, same wheels. I have 295 30s on the rear and 255 35s on the front. So if you were to compare like side to side from the last video to this one, that little bit, the 5 millimeters on each side, is actually kind of a big difference when you look at the car. It's a trip.
Yeah, it's the subtle details are noticeable. You know, when I mean, just looking at these two cars, how different they are, but also the things that they have in common, you can look at each car up close and just tell that not everything's the same. You know?
Yeah.
But,
and like the minor things, like the hood scoops. Like I got crazy, mine are open. I cut the fins out because those are fake hood scoops on all GTOs except Ram Air GTOs that had the flap doors.
Yeah.
Like I tried to put the flap doors in, and it takes a different hood. So I had to cut like the hood, modify the hood. By the time I did that, didn't even fit on the air cleaner. So I ditched that whole thing.
Yeah.
And just cut out the stockies, right? And I think it looks pretty bitchin'. I don't drive the car in the rain anyway, so I don't care.
Yeah.
But, you know, little things like that. Oh, the major thing from the last video is the same, but the difference between these two cars is the front license plate boss.
Yes.
So there's this ugly thing. We took that Restomod plate off. It's this ugly square boss. I don't like front license plate on my sports cars.
Yeah.
So when I took that off, I was like, oh God, I gotta change that. I actually made that out of one piece of metal on a beater bag.
Wow.
Welded it in. Obviously, I did the paint work too, which I hope to never do again. But the funny story with that is my dad was in the Navy when he bought this car brand new.
Yeah.
Flight school. So he had the Navy wings as a license plate on the front. And first time I showed him, I'm like, Dad, look what I did. And he goes, but where do we put the wings? Like, are you kidding me right now? That's all you could say? So
Dad, so judgmental.
Dad, hashtag dad. Yeah, so what I did was I put the Navy wings in the headrest. So it's laser engraved in the pilot seat, and then his squadron is in the passenger seat. And so when he saw that and I unveiled the car to him, I made him cry. So that was job well done.
Absolutely. It's an amazing car. Oh, the other subtle difference that if you're watching this video right now and you just look at these two cars, you go, oh yeah, they're both black. But no, this car is black. This car is not black.
Not black. That's correct. Thanks, Joe. So when it was born, it was midnight green. So it was this factory color, midnight green, metallic with gold interior. I like green. I also like black. So I stepped it up a level. I call it 2 a.m. green. So it is a black forest green pearl. And I guess I'll just give it away. It's a Jeep Grand Cherokee color from like 10 years ago. I saw one roll by and I went, oh, I want that color. And now I can paint match stuff. Like if I scratch it or whatever, I can get a paint pen.
Yeah, that's kind of the great thing about OEM colors.
Correct.
You know? Yeah, if you get a chip or something, you can go back over it. They have the code for it. Good to go.
That was a godsend because I was going to custom blend paint.
Yeah.
And then someone said, well, if you scratch it or you get a ding or a bad enough dent, you have to paint the whole car. I'm like, good point. Let me look for a factory color.
Yeah.
Oh, the mirrors are different.
The mirrors, that's right.
Purely because I wanted to paint a body match mirror. And so that's a 70s era Pontiac Chevrolet rear view mirror on the doors.
Yeah.
If I were to do it over again, I would shave the mirrors.
Oh.
Because the car shakes so much, like sometimes I look in the rearview mirror and I can't see anything anyway. It's like rattling, but not a big deal. The other thing I did is I shaved the locks. So like Chip Boost style, I have no door locks, I have no trunk lid lock, and I think the trunk lid looks amazing with no stupid lock.
Yeah,
in the middle.
Sometimes stuff like that breaks up the
curve.
design of it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then even the antenna hole is.
Oh yeah, shave the antenna.
Yeah, shave the antenna hole. Yeah.
Because frankly, I can't hear the stereo. Because I have the windows down all the time. I love the engine sound.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a 2,000 watt stereo, but it doesn't. Whatever.
Yeah. Earlier you were telling me about the cutouts, and how the cutouts sound amazing to everyone else outside the car. However, when you're inside the car...
We should do that. We should actually, I'll open them up while running.
Yeah.
well, at idle, and you guys can hear it, but
Yeah.
good luck driving the car past 1800 RPM. It is deafening.
Yeah.
It's absolutely deafening. So,
Yeah, when
so
you
mufflers
go,
exist for a reason, apparently.
they do, yeah. I mean, when you go straight headers, you're just getting all that engine noise and it's droning inside the car. So, you know, having some mufflers, you still have really great tone outside the car, but inside the car, you feel a little bit more comfortable. So we popped the hood on the 68 GTO. If you guys have watched our build sheet video, we've gone through this thing and told you everything about it. But long story short, everything's super original under here. It's pretty much looks almost exactly how it was when it left the factory. Even got your "Keep your GM car all GM"
yes,
sticker on the
I should
air
get
cleaner.
that sticker. That would be hilarious.
But 400 cubic inch, everything's all original in there. I don't even think it even has like a cam or anything like that. Everything's just super nice and original. Some might venture to argue that your car is even more of a Restomod than this one because of what you got under the hood, which we'll get to in a second. Aside from the engine, you guys know we partnered with SpeedTech and Viking Performance and put all new suspension under this thing, because when we first acquired the car, it was even more original, like all the original suspension.
And you do not want your original 50-year-old suspension on your car. I
100%.
guarantee it, unless you change all the bushings.
Yeah.
And even then, you can't really drive it hard like you can a modern car, right? And that's part of the reason of a RestoMod, is you want to modernize it mainly for safety.
Exactly.
Right? You're going to boost the power naturally. You know, you're going to get bigger intake, whatever, mess with the cam, bigger exhaust. You're going to boost your power.
Yeah.
The suspension wasn't designed for that back in the day.
Oh,
right?
absolutely not. Yeah. Well, and with your car too, I mean, you know, you knew what it's like, this car, when it was completely original, you know, and your dad, and
it was a pain in the ass back then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now amplify that by 10.
Yes. Although I will say, super comfortable ride. Everything nice and stock. You know, you can just kind of cruise around, putt around. But if you want to do any serious driving, you need upgrades. You need to RestoMod it. So all SpeedTech suspension. We put the Willwood disc brakes on it, and it rides so much better. Honestly, not even a huge change in terms of the ride comfortability. It's really high-tech stuff, and it all bolted right in. We did have to reroute the exhaust a little bit because there's there's coilovers back there now and everything. So so that's what we did, and but yeah, other than that, everything is still super original on this car, and there you have it. It does have AC.
It has AC car, yeah.
It's got AC.
So keep that in mind, because my car also came with AC.
Yeah.
So let's jump to my engine.
Yeah, let's go look at the even beefier engine on this thing, because it's pretty awesome. So,
so this is an AC car. Now look where the AC box used to be. It's super clean. Right?
Yeah, so did you shave all that yourself too?
Yeah, so I welded in a plate. It's called a smoothie plate.
Okay.
That you can get. Several manufacturers make them now, and just weld it in, you know, painted it, whatever. But it's still AC because I have vintage air, so it's R134 now versus whatever the other one was, like R14 or R16. I can never remember, but it's hard to get. Like, you now have to go to Tijuana to get it or something. It's like illegal. But the first thing a lot of people notice is the paint. Like the paint difference between your car and my car. 69 was the first metallic blue for engine paint. So that is what it came like from the factory, that brilliant blue, which I love, because the last video, that was all chrome. I had a chrome manifold on there.
Yeah.
And I am on a mission to get rid of my chrome. Even the bracket for the March serpentine system was like polished aluminum. Next thing to go is that brake booster. I'm going to go to a Willwood, the black one. But another big difference here is if you guys have a Pontiac, you know Pontiacs run hot. And I've always been on a mission to at least even out the cooling. And the cooling can be evened out on Chevys, Fords, and Dodges, where you port the coolant from the back of the heads up to the front runner or right before the thermostat. And that's what I did. So this hose right here is a custom ad by me, and I did a video on it. So it's teed off in the back. Both heads go back through the heater core just in case I need a defroster. and comes right through the front, and it gets pulled into the thermostat when the thermostat gets warm enough. That evens out the temperature in the head.
Wow.
Back in the day, the trick was you turn your heater on, right, when you start to overheat, because now you have two radiators. You have your heater core and the radiator.
Yeah.
But you're neglecting the driver's side head. The driver's side head's still creating heat. Hot pockets are formed.
Yeah.
Usually when you blow a head gasket, it's the driver's side.
Got
For
it.
that reason.
Yeah.
So that's why I did that. Again, safety. I don't like being towed. Speaking of being towed, I have a tow hook now. So
hey,
I
sometimes
made
you
it.
never know. Just
I
in
made a
case.
custom bracket that is a modern tow hook like you see on Camaros and Corvettes that screws right in.
Yeah.
And that did come in handy because I did die because my alternator wasn't charging.
Ah.
I just did a video on how to figure that out, and I converted my 1-wire alternator to a 3-wire, and I got lucky that this alternator could do that. But the point is, I now have an idiot light. My factory idiot light now works.
Nice.
So the red light comes on when it's not charging, or I threw a belt. And you want to know that too, because now the water pump's not pumping.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tried to keep the original Pontiac theme. It's still the Pontiac 400 block. Like I said, it's a 470 now from Butler. Performance. I built the engine, but it's all Butler spec, roller cam. It's hydraulic roller, it's not solid roller.
Yeah.
It still has 2.5-inch exhaust. I love your guys' sound because you have a 3-inch exhaust.
Yeah.
And I think that's on my bucket list of things to do on the channel.
All right.
So I'm going to do that too.
All right.
But
Keep in mind, guys, all these upgrades that Mike is talking about, he has pretty much done himself in his garage on his YouTube channel. Everything you see here, he has done.
Great point. Because, yeah, I have the money to pay a mechanic. I kind of learned this on my own. I make a ton of mistakes. That's the kind of the theme of my channel is like, and I document it. Like, okay, this is what I learned. Don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, well, and nobody's born mechanics, you know? I mean, you do have to learn and practice, and that's what you've done on your own, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Matt, what questions do you have for me? Looking at this, like what looks weird? Besides all the AN hoses, everything on my car now is AN hoses.
Wow.
'Cause if you do them right, they don't leak
Okay.
at all. Even my radiator hoses are AN hoses. I wouldn't recommend doing the bottom one because that was hard. That was a pain in the ass. But I did do it. So I love it. And then I upgraded the fans. So the fans are now twin Spall fans. They're pulling about 4,000, 4,200 CFM through a cold case radiator.
Okay.
I do love the cold case design because they have wider tubes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so
Let's talk about the FiTech for a second.
Yes,
because the last time we opened the hood on this and went through everything, it was carbureted, right?
Yes, it was.
And so what kind of differences have you noticed since going to the port fuel injection?
Well, let's talk about just a standard throttle body because most people would go from a carburetor to throttle body injection, right? And that's just a duplicate of a carburetor. It just has all the injectors in the throttle body and it looks like a carburetor. The number one thing that I loved about it was it would keep your idle. So my car, because it's so modified, it was hard to keep it at idle when it was cold. It's got aluminum heads, so it takes a while to get heat in those heads. And so when I come to a stop sign or stoplight, it's like you're doing that feather trick, like, oh, don't stall, don't stall, don't stall. So ever since putting fuel injection in, that's never happened. Like I can leave the garage, turn the car on, leave the garage cold, and not worry about it stalling. That is the number one obvious reason to go to fuel injection. Number two, throttle response is increased.
Yeah.
Right? So now you have the control of, it's monitoring your air-fuel ratio the whole time, constantly making adjustments, constantly learning. And this goes through, frankly, any fuel injection system. I just like FiTech because of the cost point at the time.
Yeah.
And granted, before we get flamed up here, a long time ago, they had quality issues when they first came out. I haven't had a quality issue. Any issue I've had, I've done myself. I wired it wrong, and I have a video on that. And then when I went to port injection, I just wanted to know the difference between port injection and throttle body. So now it's wired. You can tell it's port injection. You can see the fuel rails on there.
Yeah.
All the injectors are right in front of the heads. Does two things. One, you can run cooler. right? Because typically like a carburetor or a throttle body intake needs warmer temperatures to get the fuel burning correctly. It's the opposite with port injection. I don't know why. Not a scientist. But so when I switched to port injection, it was purely as an experiment because Pontiac hasn't done a Pontiac yet. So I actually took an Edelbrock manifold that's for their tri 4 flow or something, and then Pontiac got me the fuel injectors to put in there. We dynoed it. I have a couple different videos of dynoing it before and after. There wasn't a dramatic increase in power, but the torque went up like 11 points. So it dynoed at, I think it was 438 horsepower at the wheel, 511 pound-feet of torque.
Wow.
At the wheels. And that explains why I'm having differential issues right now. I wanted to make it modern, and I love lowered sports cars. Like I had a lowered E46 M3 before, well, actually at the same time. I have a picture of it, but I never drove it, so I sold it. But that's why this thing is slammed. It corners like you would not believe. I love it. So it's not built for drag racing. It's built for autocross and track or road racing. So that's the next event we should do.
Yes,
is autocross.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot of autocross up in Southern California. You know, we're down here in the San Diego area, but a lot of autocross in like Orange County and up there. So, yeah, we'll definitely have to do an autocross event.
Add that to the list.
Yeah, add that to the list because cars like these, especially yours, because you've added a significant amount of power to your setup, and you did mention that you're going to tub it eventually. But one of the biggest issues, not really an issue, more of a quirk, is when you have this kind of power and you're putting it to just the rear wheels, and you've got like only so much tire to play with. You don't have drag radials, you don't have slicks. They're just going to be spinning. You know, when you're trying to get off the line, you're just going to spin. So. And
that proof of that was last video that when I did actually drag race.
Yeah.
I could not stop the wheels from spinning. I was dicking around with short shifting. I was trying to ease into it. It didn't matter. It was like I couldn't get past a certain point. So.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. I don't care. I'm not a drag racer. I already proved that.
Yeah. Tubbing it though will give you a little bit more tire, so a little bit more surface to play with, which might help you hook up a little more. But overall, you don't need to drag race a car like this. It's just built for just pure smiles, pure enjoyment. You know?
I got to add one more thing about fuel injection, and again, it goes through any manufacturer. You can now add the ability to change timing digitally.
Wow.
So you don't have to, like you can still use a points distributor, you can still use an HEI distributor, but recently I upgraded to a Pro MSD distributor. It's all magnet based.
Oh wow.
It just gives the, where are you at? The computer controls the timing. The reason that's important is that most of us that had like a race car and removed that vacuum canister on your distributor, don't do that. Unless you have a race car. I learned the hard way. So what that does is at cruise, your timing actually goes higher than you'd think. It goes to like 40, 42 degrees advance.
Yeah.
So you can burn fuel more efficiently. You actually save MPG. Not like we care.
Yeah.
But you want to be as efficient as possible. Even at idle, it can actually change. And you can do different RPM ranges and different timing settings.
Yeah.
On that system, and that's what I have now. So I'm still kind of dialing that in, which is fun because you can just go on the handheld, change it a couple points.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. I mean, having all of that modernization to play with makes it a very, I mean, I don't know if you daily drive this thing, but I feel like you could.
Well, I drove it here.
You drove it here. Yeah, you got here.
It's a 40-minute drive. I mean, it's no joke. I'm like, you break down on one of these roads, there could
nobody's
be a problem.
coming to save you.
And there's no like cutout lanes. It's just 2 lanes, twisties. Yeah. Which are fun to drive, but you break down, oh my God.
Yeah. So, I think all the upgrades that you've thrown at this thing have are super important and have added to the drivability of the car. So
yeah, I love it. So
yeah.
thanks,
Well,
thanks for having me.
of course, Mike.
Let's
of
go.
course.
Let's go do some burnouts in your car.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video on 2 GTOs. If you loved this video, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can actually win a 75 Ram Charger if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to RestoMods.com, sign up, become a member. Mike's a member.
I'm a member.
Yeah.
I want this car. Like this is the next project. I'm
Yeah.
an expert on GTOs, so why not?
Well, thank you guys for watching, and make sure you stay tuned in. Check out our other videos at Barona. We're doing some cool racing, and see you next time.